Good morning. I'm Susan Cousino. This is the office hour for Oregon State University PDC Pro Winter 2024. This is Zoom number 10, and the next lesson due is lesson 10. Pardon me, this is lesson number 7. And the next lesson due is lesson 7, the Ecology Survey and Site Cross-Section, due on next week, April 23rd. All right, a little hiccup there. All right, we got Ren here, so I'm gonna let him in. There you are. This keyboard out of the way. Recording. Morning, Ren, or afternoon?
Afternoon. How are you, Susan?
Okay, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Getting back on track.
Yeah, oh good. Okay, I'm just going to do a little quick overview of the assignment, and then if you've got any questions, it looks like it might just be you today, which is fine.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the next lesson is lesson 7, the local ecology survey. So it's pretty straightforward. There's an ecology survey, and then there's site cross-section, which is kind of maybe the more challenging assignments. The course, I think a lot of students kind of struggle with it a little bit, but it's going to depend on your site, how much elevation change. I think probably for yours, it's going to be pretty straightforward.
Yes, fortunately, it's pretty flat. The
Yeah.
surroundings are very steep, but
Yeah.
this is flat and simple.
Right, that's nice. Okay. So with the ecology survey, there's a couple of options for layouts. There's a cyclic diagram basically starting with disturbance. So establishing pioneers is your early ecological succession. So that's basically what happens after it's just bare dirt. So whether you had fire or there's like some sort of clearing event, or if you're on a construction site and this is like a new building, you're basically what comes first after your after that initial disturbance. So that's going to be pioneer species. They seed fast, they grow fast, they produce a lot of seed. They're typically annual. So this is a lot of your weedy species is generally what happens.
Yes.
And then for most ecosystems, you're going to move through some succession from those weedy species to more perennial. So maybe like biennials, things that are deeper rooted, that are actually going to last a few years. Now with this example, and even to a certain extent, the other two that are shown here, they really transition from, like this one especially, transition from a bare ground into like mature forest. Not all
Yes.
ecosystems or biomes are going to go through that.
Yeah. I got a little confused. Well, not that I was confused, but I saw some information on the ecological succession in Malta and all the different sort of the climax species and whatnot. So what I found here is that actually, well, sorry, I didn't tell you before. I have the assignment ready, but it's actually quite good that we're having this so I could get some feedback perhaps. And can I share you the link so you can also see it, or how do I do it best?
Yeah, can you let me go through, let's go through, I'm going to go through the ecology survey, so anyone that's watching the replay can just kind of get through there, and then I'll take we'll take a look at it at the end of the survey, and then I'll address the site cross section. Does that work for you?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for this one, there's a couple examples. So this one is more going to like a savanna, like a grassland, almost maybe grassland desert. So some biomes or ecosystems are just not going to mature to a late stage forest. They might mature to a proper grassland, or some are going to be tundra or a type of prairie. So just keep in mind where you are, that this particular model may not be applicable to your site, but the processes are of like the early annuals, quick seeding, they grow up fast, they produce a lot of seed. And then moving through some different stages. And that's going to be true for both plants and animals as you get more diversity. And with the site going through ecological succession, you're going to get more birds, different types of insects. Gradually, you'll bring back more like mammals, more predators, things like that. So, okay, so choose any, I mean, you can take your own model too if you want to customize. Oh, here's Linda. Okay. Good morning, Linda.
I
I'm just going through a quick overview of the ecology survey, and then Ren's got an example to bring up, and we can take questions, and then we'll move on to the site cross section.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So choose any one of these examples that works. If one of these works for your site more or less than the cyclic one, I personally like this one for a lot of our kind of more Mediterranean leaning towards deserty sites. And then this is a good one for anyone that does actually have a forest. I kind of like the linear step-by-step more than the cyclical, but whatever works for you is fine. So you're going to choose 3 pioneer plants that are functional in your site. Now, I would tend towards finding native plants. So there are going to be native early pioneer species that will grow. If all if all you've got is dandelion and some like really weedy invasive plants, you could use those, but try to find ones that are native to your local ecology. And then you're going to do a bird survey, so 5 local bird species. Again, ideally, these aren't going to be the sort of the cosmopolitan, like an English sparrow when you're in the United States. It's an let's say invasive species with an introduced naturalized species. So really try and choose birds in a range of like seed eaters, predators, maybe some nectivores, like hummingbirds. So just something to kind of highlight the native diversity in your area. Okay, and then on this slide, you're going to basically be outlining straightforward ecosystems or a food web, pardon me. Now, you can really get creative with this. I would look to other student examples. So there's the examples here that other students have laid out. Now, this person laid out their whole slide quite differently. So they included the birds and the food web on the same slide. So go ahead and do that if that tickles your fancy. You can choose different types of ants. You could choose, say, woodlice, another type of beetle that breaks down woody debris, fungus, whatever you want in here is fine. So just basically a simple food web. A producer is going to be some sort of plant. So that's your heterotroph. That's something that's harvesting sunlight, turning it into plant matter. That's the bottom of your food chain or the basis of your foundation of your food web. Something that's consuming those plants. Now here they used a bee, which is really a pollinator. So, I mean, we're going to go with it. It's fine. Something that eats that primary consumer, often a bird, might be a small rodent, and then something that's eating that secondary consumer. And then these are all looping back into the decomposers, which of course break down all that stuff when things die. So that's your ecology survey in a nutshell. You can spend as much time on that or as little as you want. And then straightforward SWOT analysis. So this might be looking at the native diversity that you have to choose from, some of the opportunities you have to augment existing diversity. Some weaknesses may be, your site is so disturbed that you really have very little access to allowing that natural succession to occur, and you're going to have to do more like harvesting native plants, or really you're going to have to do more heavy lifting to get those native plant species back online. Some of your threats might be ongoing invasive species problems, pesticide spraying from neighbors that are going to kind of keep your site in a conditional state of disturbance if you don't do anything about it. Continual threats from wildfire or flooding that keep that site in an early successional stage. And then if you've got any questions. Okay, so let's take questions on the ecology section, and then we'll do the site cross section next, because it's a little more involved. Okay. And did we lose? It looks like we lost Ren.
No, I'm here.
Oh no, you're still here. Okay, I couldn't see you.
No,
Gallery. Okay.
Can I copy the link to my survey? Is that?
Oh, you know what? I'll just bring it up. I've got the link for it here.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, pardon me.
So are you showing anything? Because I'm not seeing I wasn't seeing any other screen share. Were you showing things or just talking about it?
No, I was supposed to be sharing my screen.
Okay.
Thanks, Linda. I think I might, yeah. Anyway, so I did go through, now that I'm sharing that. Thank you for asking. Yeah, okay, so here we go, just quick scan through. Here's the cyclic diagram I was referring to with the ecological succession. You can use that information, you can use the diagram as you like. Here's the 3 pioneer plants. Here's two examples from other students, and then of course you can always look to the growing database of student examples to pull out, take a look at other ideas and see what other people have done, whatever works for you. So that's the ecological succession.
So I did get that done before I went on my trip. I bet
great. Okay.
So I'm thinking I got it pretty good, but then because I missed seeing how many I needed of the soil sample, I didn't look. I mean, I was hurrying to try to do it before I left to go. So anyways, so mine, I'm pretty sure mine is got it, but I found a different picture, but anyways, I don't know.
Okay, let's pull it up. Okay, and then Ren, I've got your site up on the screen now here. Okay, so Lyndon, I'm just loading yours.
Okay.
My daughter is Lyndon, so if I slip and call you Lyndon, I apologize. Okay. So okay, Ren, I'm looking at your.
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I was already unmuted. Yeah, I didn't update that link. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not that it's not the link is updated. It's that the local ecology survey and the site cross section are lesson 7. So you've got
really?
here listed under lesson 6, and then the plant survey, plant system design is 8. So you've just kind of moved everything up a lot, and then the appendix and resources are just their own thing. So what you've got lesson 9 is lesson 10, lesson 8 here is should be lesson 9. Oops. Lesson 7 should be lesson 8, so on.
Let me fix that right now so I can do this.
If you want to. Okay.
Sorry again.
All right. Okay, so your ecology survey, this looks great. Yeah, steppe, garrigue, maquis, woodland. Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, what was your question for the
just because I had found different kinds of sort of peak ecosystems at some points in Malta. The information is a bit, maybe to my understanding, is a bit confusing because some of the alleged peak ecosystems were divided also into different marine ecosystems and the land ecosystems. And since you can tell that Malta is not really a forested country, it only has 5% of the surface with actual untouched vegetation. At some points I just felt that it was confusing, the information. I hope it's clearly in here and that I just feel the information right. I'm just saying in case it wasn't properly done.
This looks really good to me, and it's very clear. I really like the way you've laid this graphic out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
You're kind of
format.
Pardon me.
That I just copied the other person's format in the template.
Feel like an artist. Yeah, this is clear, and this is what I was referring to. Is some ecosystems just do not and are not ever going to go to a full woodland ecosystem or a full mature forest. And there may be a number of reasons for that. Now, probably in your context, in that climate, in that location, part of what might be holding that back is going to be like a soil nutrient limitation. Probably more than anything, it's water. So you just don't have the ability to grow a large full overstory forest because there's not enough water there. So in an ideal, an ideal world would be a different climate, different place on Earth, right? But if you remove that particular limitation, you might get to a full overstory woodland. You would start to lose out species that don't thrive in that. So there can be kind of like what we call local. The idea of a single climax community when you actually like study ecology, like more than just kind of seeing the overview of it, like there's really multiple climax steps. So what we would call like a local climax, like if the whole say all of Malta is covered by 5 to 10% woodland, like in some areas, it is going to be capable of reaching that full capacity, whatever, quote unquote, full capacity of woodland. In other areas, its climax community is going to be garrigue because that's where it's going to stop because of some limitation. There may not, it may be missing a herbivore that went extinct 10,000 years ago, or like 5,000 years ago or something, or even 500 years ago. Same for the maquis. It may just stop at that point. And that's essentially the climax community, because that's as far as you're ever going to get it in that particular zone of the island. So it's kind of it's another, like yet another it depends concept in ecology. Like if you look at the whole island, like yes, you've got this late successional stage of woodland, but if that's not going to cover every part of the island, and maybe where you are, you're only ever going to get to that maquis stage.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you just mentioned. Exactly, that's what I've been wondering and dabbling with, not only research, but also already working on the fields and getting more information. What you mentioned exactly about the garrigue was something baffling, because there was a construction site just on the way down into the field. And as I was looking into the pit that they dug the day before, I was absolutely shocked because it was an X-ray of all the soil. You could see about no more than 3 inches of so-called soil, which was all mixed with rocks. And then everything afterwards was just a thick layer of rocks. It went all the way down until minus 10 meters. So that told me exactly how much capacity an ecosystem has to adapt and to continue developing. And I can see all the shapes of the land now making more sense into saying, oh, okay, so that can explain why we have this type of not only soil or system, but how much, as you said, what is the actual climax community that it's going to get. And it seems exactly as you mentioned that garrigue is going to be the one that stays in most of the surface of Malta. So I found that really just makes sense into what the assumption is.
Okay, yeah, so there's another great limiting factor, is just how deep is that soil developing? I mean, so maybe after thousands of years of soil development in certain pockets, you're going to move out of garrigue and maquis into woodland. But really your woodland's probably going to develop in a depression, in a concavity, where enough soil can build up, if you've got, is that correct? If you've got a convexity, I always forget which goes over, but concave makes a cave, or concave makes a cave. Anyway, if it's a like a positive, if it's a hill or something, you're always going to have an erosive force that prevents that soil from really developing. So you'll never be. So there's another limitation you've noticed.
Yeah, and it's still amazing to see how much can grow in this amount of soil. It was quite mind blowing. Of course, my site has a bit more luck. I have a bit more soil, because I'm definitely in that position where everything is, as you said, the valley, the shape is going down, and it accumulates more soil. If I was up the hill, I would be, I wouldn't have any capacity to start anything at this point.
You'd be building raised beds.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Might as well. So that was my main question. The part about the bird species, it's pretty simple. It's just information. Yeah. And one that I think I kind of dropped the ball on was the next one. If you can just.
Okay. So this should be 5. Let's get a 5th one on there. If you can. Yeah. I mean, ideally, whatever. I think it's not a huge. Actually, the whole ecology survey is 4 marks. So, if you got what you get.
Probably back to
local food chain. So you've got a fungus, no more fungus, another fungus, another fungus. Okay. So
there's a lot of just.
Okay. I would replace, or group these 4 fungi together and look at like what the, insect detritivores are. So maybe some of the ground beetles. Do you guys have earthworms there?
Very little. I found very little, but I have found some. So let me make some notes on that.
Okay, so it'd be interesting to find out if those are native or introduced.
They are introduced.
They are introduced. Okay, yeah. So I mean, they're functioning there as a detritivore. You could look at those. Yeah, some of the beetles, if there's any kind of like a wood louse or something. Yeah, and then you want a secondary consumer, and then a tertiary would be maybe like an aerial predator, like a hawk, or if there's a
Yeah,
snake
there's
species or
not
something.
much of that. You know, I was doing a lot of research and there's actually not a lot of predators in Malta, which was,
Okay.
I still kept trying to look for hawks, and there's some indications of a couple of species of hawks, but it's very little. So
Mm.
I don't know if I should actually, mention it as it kind of makes the assumption that it is the dominating predator in the area where it's actually
Yeah, I would include it, mostly just
okay.
because I want to see what kind of hawk lives on. But no, but I would include it, because it demonstrates that tertiary, like there is something that, is preying on everything below it, so. Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead and include it.
all right, awesome. And I'll just do the swap in a bit.
Okay, there you go. And then I can see you're still working on SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
Okay, Linda, do you want to flip to yours and see?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, what were your questions?
Oh, just yeah, I had filled this out before I left, so I haven't looked back at it to make sure that, and I guess because my the secession or the climax community, I guess slide 99, I found one that was in the area of where
Nice.
it felt like it was similar, and so I kind of rearranged it so that I had in those stages what was there. And I kind of funny though, these pioneer plants, these are actually ones that the pioneers ate that kept them alive.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pigweed, goosefoot. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So I thought, oh, pioneer plants, that's kind of fun. It was for the pioneers.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a
So
beautiful diagram.
I thought it worked well. I
Hmm.
changed, let's see, some of the names to match the diagram so that you could follow through.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The thing I like about this too, actually, and this is kind of relevant to what Ren's context, or what Ren was just talking about, but here, oh, rather than a depression, you do actually have soil building up from this vegetation dying, and that's more common in a cold climate
Oh,
because you've got a winter, because you've got a winter, like a cold freeze cycle, so that freezing and thawing, sorry, not cold freeze, but like a freeze and thaw cycle. So the freezing and thawing actually has a really big impact on, like, it's basically your mechanical breakdown. So any kind of plant that you put in a freezer turns into mush, right? So it really helps break that down and turn it into soil a lot faster, which is why a lot of the peat marshlands are in northern climates.
oh, interesting.
It becomes more of a microbial cycle. So then you do get those big banks of soil building up, and that's where you see this, like, there's basically a flat bedrock. And of course, this is a stylized image, but a flat bedrock with that building up over time. And then you're going to have some mountain over here that's also eroding down from the top and depositing material.
The alluvial, and that's what we have on the property, some of that, but also because there's more rain up in the mountains, more snow, it gets a lot more weathering than down in the valley.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and then my birds, some of the ones that are common around here. So, I mean, it takes a while to research all this, but I found it really interesting and fun to know what. And so I did, and then I did a normal web, and then I did a web on, so the local food chain, and then I did a web on the site because there was just a little bit of a change in that.
Oh, I like that.
By the deer.
Mm-hmm.
And the deer are being eaten by the coyote, and the coyote being eaten by the cougars. So there are cougars that are spotted in the close proximity area. So
okay.
Anyway.
I like that. I like that highlights, how our agricultural activities especially are really changing food webs and food systems. So great. That looks awesome. Okay.
Yeah, that was
and you've gone to town on the SWOT analysis. This looks great.
Oh, I did have that question because we have a lot of these gophers or moles or whatever that are like here at my property, and I kept seeing them showing up in this food web, and I was like, okay, should I be letting these stay in my garden even though they're eating some of my plants?
Yes, so that, yeah, they are part of the food web. I mean, they're really important. They're really good prey for do you guys have you must have gopher snakes, because there's a Great Basin gopher snake.
I've had garter snakes in my property, which I really like, but I haven't seen any other snakes.
Might not see. Okay. Yeah, so garter snakes are typically, I think, smaller rodents and like frogs and things, but certainly like for hawks, red-tailed hawks, Swainton's love to pick up gophers. Moles, I'm not so sure. Besides like coyotes, maybe. Do you have foxes?
There are some. I mean, there's some field areas by my property. I don't know what they have. I would think they would have more up on this farm because it's closer to the mountains. We have skunks. We have raccoons. My neighbor's chickens got eaten by one of those the other night because I heard them early in the morning. Really having a problem. But yeah, not so much that would get the gophers. They just kind of stay down in the ground, and I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, they're feeding somebody. Somebody's eating them. Unfortunately, there's just often not enough predators to keep ahead of a gopher population when they're in, an area that they can really proliferate and multiply.
Yeah.
So yes, they're important, but they are a pain in the
So I was like, oh, do I feel guilty that I've been trapping them or trying to get rid of them? I was just in Colorado, north of Boulder, and the whole field are all these like ground squirrels. But they're so cute, but they fill so many of them. But anyways, I don't want that many. Anyways, so that, okay.
Cuteness only gets us so far.
Yeah. Okay, so that one's good. I haven't started the cross section. That's one I do need help to know.
Okay, sounds good. And then Lucia, I see you in there. Do you have any questions while we're here? She might just be listening. Oh.
No, I'm just listening. I don't have a question.
All right, we'll move on to the cross section. Oh.
I'm so behind, so I mean, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So here's a cross section. Okay, so the cross section, kind of just, I mean, I don't want to say just follow directions. One of the things that I think is most helpful is if you go into Google Earth, there's the ruler tool and you can draw a line. And if you check, I think I can do it without my computer melting down.
Cool how to do that. It's in the Google Earth Pro. It wasn't in the regular
Google Earth Pro. Yeah, and the ruler tool.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
got it. But first you'll have to unlock your device.
Sorry, my phone thinks I'm giving it instructions. No, you're not. Do not disturb me.
To draw it, I guess we just need to go to the property and just measure, like, so we know where each of those trees, how far apart they are, so we can actually draw them and then do the height evaluation, right?
So the instructions are really to take, I'm going to zoom in on our place here. The instructions are to take the area with the most elevation gain. So for us, if you take the ruler tool, mouse navigation, go to path, show elevation profile. Okay, so then I'm going to go from street all the way to the back of the yard.
Still looking at your slide, not the
oh, sorry, I thought it would automatically track the holy screen sharing is challenging me today. I think what it is the other course finished, and so now I'm only doing office hours every other week, and it's like I get out of a routine.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, here we go. So here's the elevation profile. Now because it's it's a small site, you know, it doesn't, but it does give you like, this is, you know, so 224 down to 213 feet. So, you know, you can use this line. I don't know, I would see bigger peaks on it. But it'll give
So
you a
the
whole,
question- sorry, the question, so you said on the highest elevation, but if all I'm interested in changing is my field, and that was one reason why I didn't do an extra perk test, but that made sense what you said about like seeing what maybe a climax community would look like if we did do, you know, whether, anyways, should I do a bigger section of like where it goes up to the road, or should I just stick with where I'm mostly interested in changing?
no, I would do the whole site,
Okay.
because if you go all the way, I'm trying to go back all the way to your base map here. You want to find out, or at least like visualize or show, you know, show me, show other people. If you're doing this for a client, you want to be able to show them. Oh, I'm looking at the template. Okay.
That had one.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, if you've got like a, here. Yeah, here we go. So say the road is up here, you know, and I'm just, let's play pretend for a moment. The road's up here, this is all kind of hilly, sloping down, and then the field is at the bottom, which is actually a fairly common scenario, right? Like we tend to farm the flatter bottomlands because that's where soil has been deposited. So if we take a cross section from here, it's just going to look, you know, here or along this plane, because this is the area we're interested in. You know, it's just going to show us a flat field, right? But if we take a cross section from here to here, we can actually see, like, historically, this is why we've got richer soil here. This is where the deposition is happening. We're going to understand our water flows better because we're saying like, oh, okay, well, this is actually, you know, water off the street could actually be taken from here down towards the field as additional irrigation or something, or for, you know, hydrating this zone along here, which could eventually, just for instance, if you wanted to plant this and tie it into the field and sort of change some of that arrangement, you'd want to know what the whole profile, like from the highest elevation to the lowest, actually looks like.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
And which side direction would you recommend, like looking towards all the trees or looking the direction of where the house is, like on the right side or the left side of the,
Well, let's see. Oh, I can't copy this. Oh, 136.
because we've got the house on one side. If I did the cross and I'm looking like from like northward or southward, do you have a recommendation as to which side? 'Cause
I would, yeah, I would probably take this line, like say, oh, I can, yes, I can.
Yeah, you can draw a line. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, not some working on it, just getting there. I would probably take this line from, oh, let's see, here to here.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I'd like to see.
And then facing which direction? Like when I'm drawing.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Yeah. It doesn't really matter because you're really just looking at what's on that line. So yeah, you're really like what is laying on that line as you go across the property.
Okay.
So then anything that falls off of that line, like for instance, if you wanted to indicate that this forest is actually like really tall overstory and this is just kind of shrubby vegetation down here, you can put that into the cross section as, you know, at the height that it should be, but it's like, but you gray it out or you outline it. Let me see if there's an example. Yeah. Okay. So, oh, site cross, this is the plan view, and then when you actually do the cross section, no, these aren't examples I want to show. So, hold on for 1 second, because I think I know who's to go to. And she's not gonna mind if I share it with you.
Okay.
Oh, do I not have her? I no longer have her. Okay, I think. Well, that's a bummer. I don't have either of them. Maybe. I'm not going to go randomly poking through different presentations, but there's 2 students that I remember because they were in the same cohort, and we talked about this graying an image out behind. But anyway, hopefully I can show you. Essentially what would happen, I'll just draw it on here. Okay, annotate. Okay, this is format. I'm going to get. It doesn't give me gray as an option. Okay, so then what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to draw it. Okay, so I'm going to pretend I'm going to draw this as an. So say this is the line you chose. There's stone walls here, but then behind there's a big forested area. So you could just draw the height of those trees along here.
Oh, just the
Like
top.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, just the top of them. And if there's like a shed that you want to indicate is back there, you could do that, or the barn, for instance.
Right.
Sorry, forgive my drawing. But
That helps. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So you can either outline it or you can do like a gray shade. Either works.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Okay.
Just trying to figure out where to where to.
yeah. So I would take a looking either direction, like try to do the one that gives you the most information. So I would probably do yours looking towards this side, but whatever works for you. But yeah, I would get the roof of the house, these trees, whatever's going on here. So this is a driveway turnaround.
That's actually the chicken. They had 3 pastures that the chickens hang out in.
Okay, all right. And then where does the daughter live on site?
The house.
Oh,
The
in
house.
the main house. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, does that help?
Yes, that helps. Thank you.
Okay, does it help enough? Is there more?
I think that was my main thing, was how to determine where to put it and how much to draw, because I tend to just stick with the field because that's what I'm changing. But yeah, didn't really know. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so just a couple of pointers. I want to get into the yeah, so when you do the plan view, use your base map, all the same stuff, the scale, the compass rose, give some justification for why you chose that particular cross section. There's your legend. You can use your color or your grayscale base map. It's nice to see the contours on it if you've got a contour map. So this is a really nice, like pretty close to professional looking example. Of course, you can always go. Let me see. Okay, I want to make sure. Topic. This is actually, I think the cross sections in particular are a really good one to go look at student examples.
Okay.
Now, let me see. I thought they had included student examples in every one. No, okay. But yeah, if you can, let me see. Here we go. No, see the pro template. I thought they had included the link to other student examples in every assignment, but apparently they haven't.
Well, where I've seen them is in the actual, like in the slides, when you're on the right side, you can get
so they are always on the right side, but this is only like there's only one example. There is actually an active
look at the slide,
database.
like yeah, if you were that video tutorials, so usually if I right there, like
Oh There it is. Okay, they're constantly updating this template, so I had not seen that that is great. That's awesome. Okay. It's kind of surprised because they're usually so good about really making the resources accessible. I was a little
Yeah,
surprised.
It's
Okay.
been great. Just don't have enough time to do all the research that I wanted to.
Yeah, this is a good one though, where it is probably it's probably helpful to go look at what other students have done for the site cross section. So some of the main things, yeah, when you do your plan view, just make sure your legends filled out, justifying the cross section, all that. And then when you do your your actual cross section, all of these little elements are important, like having the actual height, like having a height bar, heights of these trees. You can estimate it. There's a couple of different ways to do that, which are given in the assignment resources. There's a few videos. Really like make it clear what things are, what you're labeling. You can just use generic images, that's fine. Whether these are just an outline, colored outline image. And then you're going to want to have A to B, so which direction your cross section is going, the full length, succession stage, so where it's at in ecological succession, and then a bar with what microclimate each of those areas is in.
Okay.
So there are grids down here which you can use to help. Oh, there we are. To help lay that out. This can also help you lay things out. This gives you like all the details that you could want to use, I think. I'm just looking at my notes here to see if there's anything that I missed that I wanted to. The scale has to be in proportion, otherwise it's not a scale. So nothing that's like exaggerated height or squashed in relation to the width of the bar, like of the cross section. Talked about Google Earth. If for instance, if you're watching the replay now, I know all you guys do have stuff. Well, Ren, this might apply to you. If you don't have much in your cross section, like anywhere that you can do a cross section, you just don't have much. I mean, this can be a really easy, or it can be a fairly complicated assignment. If you're thinking about building a shed, put it in as a dashed line and indicate the height. That would be kind of nice, just to show that you're kind of working that through. Label your gutter and your roof heights is helpful, because if you're designing a rainwater catchment system, you want to know what the drop of your water is going to be. For instance, if you're watering the rest of your site, you're going to want to be able to calculate where that water is coming from in relation to what you're actually watering. So you can calculate like what your flow rate is going to be as it's coming out of, for instance, like a storage tank. And that's it. As far as the site cross section goes. Yeah. Okay. Are you feeling better about that, Linda?
Yeah, that I had kind of left it. Well, I went on my trip, and so didn't really get to go measure anything. So now I know what to go do.
Okay. Yeah. And I think this is a good one too. It's always like, just really go step by step through the rubric, because if you're adding something that's extra and it's not on the rubric, like this one doesn't have what do they call it, like a grader's discretion mark, like where I can kind of like, oh, you added a bunch of extra stuff and you made it look really nice, and sometimes I'll use that to add a few extra marks. This assignment doesn't have that, so just make sure you've gone through the rubric and like checked all the boxes if you want to get that, like for those full marks, or if you want to max out. So okay, do we still have Ren and Lucia?
I think
Yeah.
Ren's
Yeah. Oh, Ren dropped out. Okay. All right. Okay, how are things going generally? Did you get rain?
So I don't know, Lucia, I don't want to take up your time. If you want to ask any questions, I have a question though, if you're okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So the property where I was at, we went down to the solar eclipse with my daughter, but they moved on to a 45-acre piece. And so I did some perk tests for their property. And it was just really fascinating. And I thought if I could just tell you what it did, and then you can tell me if it seemed like it helped understand how they should irrigate, because it's in Lyons, it's north of Boulder. I didn't do it. I mean, I did some what the plants were, but their house is it's like off-grid house, and it's made out of adobe. It's very cool, but they have a lot of like slope right to the house. And so the perk test, I was trying to decide where zone 1 would be. And when I dug the hole initially, it went down like 9 inches in an hour. It was like really fast. But then I filled it with it, was already filled. And then one of the kids, they have 4 children. So one of them, he's studying at a school where they're studying about this kind of thing right now with the Colorado River issues and different things. So I wanted him to see it. So I filled it again, and it went down. It was 6 inches. And then the next day I showed the 2 younger children because they were interested, and it had gone down, like it only went down like 3 inches an hour. And so I thought, wow, this is a way to this shows how to irrigate. Like initially it's just really parched down in that space. It's going to like all drain off because it's on a slope. And so if we do like some of those boomerang swells, or put the trees there and could hold it to keep it from going straight to the house, which it would if there's a lot of water. So water a little bit, get it filled in, get it slowed down, and then water, let it, sit for a little while, and then water again where the water could stay. That seemed like what the hole was telling me.
Yeah, there's a couple things that to me what it sounds like you're basically like reaching field capacity. So you've decreased increase the pressure, like the back pressure, the amount of water that soil can hold there. So that makes a lot of sense, especially when a soil's like, was it really, really dry when you started out?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that when that soil's like hydrophobic, it does tend to like just repel everything away from it. But then it gradually, as it starts to hydrate, it'll hold more of it like that. I could see why it's draining out slower. That's an interesting observation. But I think you're absolutely right, is that getting it wet first will enable that to hold longer. That's because that's what you're saying, right? Like,
yeah, do it on stages, like wet it, but have plants there that can help, hold it back too. But then later, because I know people that irrigate like that, where they'll irrigate for a little bit and then they'll do a second irrigation. So it won't be as much at one time, because it just will run away. It'll build all that water. And so that was pretty exciting. That I did several of the jar shake tests too. And my 9-year-old granddaughter was just fascinated she wanted to go get more property samples and just see what they had. And it was just, it's really fun just to see figure out their soils. Yeah. So anyways, I was just thinking that was a good solution, or a good way to figure out how to irrigate. And that's what I told my grandson, that he's 12, and in the class they were trying to solve these problems. And I says, well, do they know their soil types? It's like, it just really helps to go through this whole all these slides. So it's like very applicable.
Great. Yeah. It's nice when that translates into the real world, and especially for somebody else, where you can start sharing that, like what you've learned. So great job. Well done.
Okay. Hi. So it's so hard now. I don't see you when I press the button. It's all these different pages. So I'm navigating through the phone because I cannot be hooked to the computer right now.
Lucia, I just want to mark your name so it's in the transcript. Lucia, do you want me to bring your presentation up?
Say it again.
Do you want me to bring your presentation, your template up?
No, not really, because there is nothing. I didn't have time for it at all. And I actually, when I signed up for the course, I didn't anticipate how difficult it will be to be off grid, and I'm battling the connection, and I cannot just, it's some things that we take for granted when you're living in a town somewhere or in a big city, and then it just doesn't work the way I thought, and it's really difficult for me. Plus, I've been trying to plant everything before it gets really hot. So yeah, it's been cold, and then this week, we're studying having like 90 degrees temperatures, and everything is blooming and everything is wonderful, and just like I'm running around the garden and getting it ready so everything is rooted before it gets too hot, and it's crazy. So I actually sent you an email in March, at the end of March, and then there was the break, I think. If there is any way I can move to later cohort, or is this already too late for any changes like this?
Oh, no, there's always, you can't move, basically. I mean, let me see. Yeah, it's not so much a move as you basically restart the course with a new cohort. Now I see your email. Okay, it didn't contain, and this is, I'm not faulting you for this, because it didn't contain OSU PDC or OSU, it didn't land in my OSU box, and so it got buried into a different email folder. So my
I
apologies for not
resend it.
reaching you.
I also resend it. So I sent 2 because I realized I didn't put it in there. So now I don't know if you can hear me. I got
can.
disconnected a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. So I send it with both because of course I send it without the letters that's supposed to be there,
Yeah,
and then I
okay.
resend it again.
Okay.
So I can send it again. We can continue this conversation via email. That's fine. But is there any options like that? Because I fell so behind with all this, and we are building in a house, and I'm doing all other stuff. So it's like it's really crazy.
Okay. Oh, I wish I had seen this. Okay, I will email you back. I'm going to talk to Dow about this because this is an email that I missed. This was on me. I do think it would be fine to start with the personally. I think it would be fine to start with the April 1st cohort. So they're already 2 weeks in. They're just I think they're just submitting their first assignment, so you're fine. Now I did transfer some students sideways basically last semester, and pace basically the part of the university that runs like the adult education. They did it once and then they were like, that was too complicated, we're not going to do it again. So I can't guarantee you that they'll put you into that cohort. No, I didn't take students for this last cohort because I've got a pile of work on my plate, and I was like, I got too overwhelmed running 2 courses side by side with the additional work coming up. I will take the next cohort, which is going to start, let me see, I want to double check. It'll start in June 24. Unpublished. Yeah, so the cohort after that would be starting June 24th. So no judgment. If you want to stay with me, which would be awesome, I'd love to see you again.
That would be great, and actually that would be maybe better for me because we should have electricity by then, and I should have better ways to be connected, and it's gonna be too warm, so I can be hiding during the day and I can do this. So that would be so much better. And I can stay with you, so we can just continue where I left off.
Sure.
So if there is that option, I'll take it because I really enjoying this, and I would like to participate, but unfortunately the life chose different things for me this spring. So
oh yeah, I get it. Okay, so there is there's a re-enrollment fee of $400. Occasionally that is waived. You would need to talk to Dow or Ian about that. So I will send you an email. Don't worry about resending an email. I'll respond to this email that you sent me in March with the information for the enrollment, and that'll all get sorted out. It's no problem. It happens all the time. It's really not a big deal at all. And we'd much rather see students finish in a way that they're actually just like finishing and happy with the outcome. They're not trying to cram the last 4 assignments in at the very end, like the last 2 weeks of the course, like which has happened, and it's stressful for everybody. So yeah, I mean, if you can go through any of the course before June, that's great, just to kind of keep it fresh in mind. But yeah, I think that's probably a good idea for you, considering if you're going to have electricity and also where you're at in the course right now. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. So let's email so we don't, because I'm losing the connection again. It's just
sounds
it's
good.
like it's
Okay.
5G here, but sometimes it's on, sometimes not. And I think with the camera and everything it's not doing
Sure.
what I want it to be doing.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Thank you
All
so
right, you're
much.
welcome,
And
Lucia.
okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Have a great one.
You too. Bye.